2, 3, 4. Okay, I was about to break out into song, but that would just freak you all out. Good morning. How are you guys on Shanda On Demand? I hope you're doing fantastic. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, so good. Okay, go in the chat and just say hello to me because I'm using StreamYard, so I don't get to see all of you guys. So if you just pop on real quick, and all I can see is your comments when you say, good morning, Esteban. I swear you're like number one. Your olas are like number one every morning, and I love that. Awesome. Alicia Gifford, nice to see you. Good morning, Ada. Good morning, Donna. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Okay, oh, so good. Love it. Okay, good. So now I'm seeing you guys all jump on. Fantastic. So if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe if you're not connected to this channel yet. And Facebook, I love you guys. We are not on Instagram today, but I did want to launch into the fact that it's Friday, and I would love to talk about the weekend, but I'm not going to do that because I really am so committed to you guys optimizing your weekends, because I know, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I know what it's like to kind of stop working but not stop working. Anybody else workaholics out there? Any of you guys workaholics out there? Put work in the chat if you're a bit of a workaholic. And you probably say things like, I love what I do. And that's a blessing, because there's a lot of people who don't love what they do, but it's because they've got a heart problem regardless. Let me tell you something. I've always loved what I did. It didn't matter if I was walking dogs. Truly, I used to do that. Didn't matter if I was walking dogs for a veterinarian, or I was learning to sell real estate when I was afraid to sell, or I was learning how to become a coach or a course creator. And then there was the moment that I never wanted to speak on a stage. And, you know, all the things I will share this with you. All the things I have never seen myself ever doing were the things that God gave me his grace. Like every single one. I can honestly tell you, there is not one thing, like even having a child. Do you know that I actually had no maternal instinct to have a child at all? I just knew that I wanted to, you know, I just knew that I didn't want to sit around the Christmas tree and not have children and family. And so I built the family. I mean, no kidding. I'm not going to go too much into that. Although my highest converting video for engagement is how I found my husband in 90 days. It's unbelievable how many people struggle in this area. And I did too. So I want to share this with you real quick before I go into today's content, which is I'm actually going to, on this piece of paper, there's a list of questions that one of my private clients asked me that I think is brilliant. And I want to share her questions, and I want to share how I answered them, because it'll give you years of aha moments, I believe, when you hear this, because sometimes you don't even know what to ask. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Yes? Put yes in the comment section. Sometimes you're not sure what to ask, and you're working throughout the day, but at the end of the day, you spend more time in an emotion or emotions than actually asking for support and help. Yes? Am I right? Because you're independent and you've been told to be independent, and you've been told to be strong. And the word vulnerability makes a lot of people think it's a weakness. I mean, I just think we've had a very, very big disservice around education globally around some of these topics, because success comes from absolute vulnerability. You know, when I did a FaceTime with this guy, Kevin Harrington. He's on Shark Tank. And do you know that Kevin Harrington called me, FaceTimed me, and he does very quick conversations for like 10, 15 minutes, and then he removes himself from the call. And I will tell you, there's a pattern. Yesterday, I talked about patterns of success. I gave you 3, that if you did what I talked about yesterday, if you just actually applied that yesterday and you have it up on the wall and you're like, am I hitting those 3 things? You will crush it between now and the end of the year. But here's like a 4th thing. And that is that I've noticed that the more successful men and women are in their marriages, in their finances, and in their impact, they don't waste any time. They're not in the chit-chat game. They're in the highly intentional vulnerability game. So Kevin Harrington FaceTimes me, and he had written the book, Mentor to Millions. Has anybody ever read that book, Mentor to Millions? Put MM in the comments. If you have not read Mentor to Millions, Mentors to Millions, I really highly go check it on Amazon and look under Kevin Harrington's name. Honestly, one of the best books I've ever read. Truly. And my friend Mark Tim helped him. And there's a crazy story. I didn't mean to go down this, but there's a crazy story behind that. And my friend Mark Tim, his daughter called him out because Mark didn't have a coach. And Mark had basically, I'm not going to say imploded his family, but he had a day where he was crushing it at the office, and he was sitting at the end of his driveway, and he was going to go up the driveway to his house. And he knew when he walked in the house to his wife and his children, he was not Mark Tim, the business CEO mogul. He was, take out the garbage, do this, do that. And he's like he knew he was going to get the bickering. And by the way, his wife is extraordinary. But he knew that a new hat was going to go on, and he wasn't going to get the acknowledgement or the pat on the back, like, good job, Mark. He wasn't going to get any of that. And he was dreading walking in the door because his emotional state in the office was very different than his emotional state at home. Anybody relate to Mark? Anybody relate to Mark? Put me in the comment section. If you can relate to that, you could be a mother that comes home and you're all into work and you're a rock star, and then you turn either off your home computer or you walk back in from being in the office, and it's like your kids are coming at you. You're like, I just need a minute. Just give me a freaking minute. You know what I mean? You hear what I'm saying? Or you could be a man that you end up going through the day, the night, and you just never turn it off. And so you never actually stop and look at the woman that you love or your kids and say, hey, let's go for a walk, like on a regular basis. And so you get caught up in that. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes. So that was Mark. So Mark's sitting at the end of his driveway and is like, oh my gosh, I am going to walk in that door and all mayhem's going to break loose. And a fight could happen and all these things are going to happen. And he got smart enough to say, what am I doing in the office that I could be doing at home? How do I run great, successful businesses? And some of you guys, who are my people who run a really good relationship? Put an R in the comments. Who are my people who run a really good relationship? I mean, there's a system to it. There is a formula to a really good relationship. And so if you run a really good relationship, guess what? You could run a really good business. But if you don't run a good relationship and you don't run a good business, I'd say it's really time to get some help, because you cannot trust. And I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way. You cannot necessarily trust your emotions and your thoughts. And here's where I'm going to tell you why that's true. See if I can open this. I don't know if I'll be able to open this. Oh, I might not be able to open this because I already watched it. I don't think it's going to let me. Darn it. I wanted to send this to you guys. Okay, so this isn't going to work. I got these messages from this incredible video from these ladies this morning, and I don't know why Instagram doesn't allow me to replay it. So that's going to be irrelevant, but I wanted you to hear their words about what they thought before and what they thought after. But I'll give you this, and this is actually in the same context. I have a client who called me up, and she decided that she wanted to give me feedback on how I ran my business. And it was all about her, right? It was all about her. And one of her biggest pieces of feedback was she wanted more of me. And by the way, she pays for me to be accessible to her. So I'm sitting there going, I don't understand why you would say that. You have 3 weeks out of every month that you could call me anytime, and I'm there for you. Like my friend Mark Tim, who is also a mentor, I can call Mark and I can always have a 10-minute conversation with him any day of the week. He never has more than 10-minute conversations. In fact, if you need a longer conversation, he will say, let's book another call, because he never does more than 10-minute conversations, so that conversations are intentional, right? So my client calls me up and she says, I want more of you, right? And I'm not going to go into the whole dialogue of it, but some of you guys need somebody strong in your life to break up your patterns. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? You do. You know it. You know it like you know it. So I said to her, here's the thing, sweetheart. I didn't say sweetheart. That would have been demeaning. But I was like, here's the thing. You are completely like a lone wolf. She's someone who isolates. She puts her head down. She's good. And I have always been here where you can pick up the phone, but it's not just the business plan. It's when it breaks that you need the coaching. And when it breaks, every time you pull back into what's comfortable, see what's comfortable is already what you got handled, which means it's so self-centered. When you're running in comfortability, it's so self-centered that I can't even tell you, it's like you're good. But see, God called you to be more than good. He called you to go way past comfort so that he has an opportunity to show up, right? So this is same in mentorship. So anyway, the short story of that, and I'm leaving a lot out, but the short story of that is she's coachable. And so she saw it. And instead of defending, she completely had humility, and she saw that her stubbornness, like if you have time to critique your mentor or coach, you got a problem. Do you hear what I'm saying? You got a problem because you're not driving your hunger of where, like your coach and your mentor is not, it's not their responsibility to drive your company. It's their responsibility to ask your questions, answer your questions. And if you don't answer questions, you don't come to calls, you don't go to masterminds because of whatever reason, and this is the same for all of your guys as customers or clients, if they don't come to whatever it is that you're delivering, then they're not going to get the results, right? Yes. So here's what's insane. When I look at the success of my Mentor Me Live clients or my 1% private clients, I can directly tell you the success of them is connected to their planning. And then it's their hunger to keep integrity with that goal and not let off the goal until they hit it, no matter how they feel. This is a very hard thing to have faith in because your emotions will start to blame if that's what you do, or say that I don't have enough, like I don't have enough support, I don't have enough structure, which is what my client would say, I don't have enough structure. I'm like, you're not in a 6-week course. See, 6-week courses don't build your business. 6-week courses don't build your relationships. 6-week courses don't fix your health. They don't give you a lifetime of fit. Like 6-week courses are a bite of the apple, a bite of the pie, a bite of prosperity. It's a bite. It's actually one problem has been solved. When you're in a 6-week course, an 8-week course, a 4-week course, you are fixing a specific problem, but it's not the problem. It's just a piece. And so my client, who, by the way, we helped her create $500,000 a year, which that's what she did in Mentor Me Live. And she came to all the masterminds, she took the coaching, she got a lead coach, and she made $500,000 a year because she was driven enough that she wanted to get out of a financial spot, and she had a vision for that. And what happened was she lost her vision because she was good. And she didn't see it. And so what she was doing is she was resisting going to a higher level of success, because what you start to do is you start to compare yourself to other people and say, either I don't want that, or you start to think, if I go after that, I have to give this up, and there's a feeling of loss, or you just lost your vision. So I want to tell you that my client is online now. She's rocking it now. And she sent me a list of questions of what she wanted. She's driving her ship. Do you know that I don't have a meeting with my friend Mark Tim, a 10-minute meeting, without having a list of questions? Do you know that I don't go into a coaching session or a mastermind that I'm going to study in without a list of questions? I don't go anywhere. I don't even do this live on Shanda on Demand. I just was planning next week's content, right? I don't go into a live without knowing what's the list of questions I'm answering for you, or what's the list of questions I need to be able to go to the next level. So here's her list of questions. She said to me, she goes, actually I have to look on this because that was my note. She said, I think you should grab a paper and pen if you're not driving. She said, how can I build a one-to-many business in 10 hours a week? My first thought was, be careful that you're not trying to build something with no effort, because it will take a lot of effort to build the one-to-many with 10 hours of work, right? But I've learned to not judge people, because that 10 hours a week might be on this business, and maybe she's doing something else in this nonprofit, or maybe she's doing, because if you're trying to play the I want to be comfortable game, you'll lose, because God doesn't gift the lack of generous. In other words, Anytime we're trying to protect our time, that is all about our independence. It is all about us. And the freedom comes from actually giving up all of that, where you're like, I'll go wherever I'm needed. You know, my friend Joe DeSena, who owns the company Spartan Races, I remember him coming to one of my zone events and he spoke from the stage and he actually gave out his personal email. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that day emailed him and he answered every single email. Do you know that there's customer service departments in this world right now that find 50 emails a lot? He answered hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails while he was raising money for venture capital to take his company to an Olympic sport, having 4 children, a wife. You get what I'm saying? Like it was at that point, it was well over $100 million business, and he never thought it would ever grow like that. See, my client never thought her company would get to $500,000 a year. It's more than she ever envisioned, but she's here now. How many of you guys need a new vision for yourself? Put a V in the comment section. How many of you guys need a new vision for yourself? I'm going to tell you, the source of all evil is lack of vision. The scripture says that my people will perish without a vision. Now, if you're not into scripture, you need to know this. You will blame people, you will critique people, you will gossip about people, you will feel bored, you will feel angry in your marriages, you will feel like something is lacking in your relationships or in your happiness. You're going to feel all of that, and you need to know that that is all on you. It's not the universe, it's not your spouses, it's not your career, it's not any of that makes you unhappy. It's your lack of vision. And so you might say, well, what would be my vision? Well, this is what my client said to me. She said, I don't know what I want next. I don't know if I want to build a sales team. And I'm like, because you have to shift. See, number one is you have to figure out how to create cash flow. I do that. You guys have done my list building program. That's all about creating cash flow, right? But once you know how to create cash flow, and we all have a different comfort, then it becomes about the big game. And the big game comes into, where am I the best used? Like, where do I need to go? Where am I the best used? Where is my life such a contribution? And I don't mean like I love what I do. It has nothing to do with you. See, if you start asking yourself, so first figure out how to create cash flow. Once you know how to do that, if you want to grow faster, it has nothing to do with if you want to build a sales team, or if you want to build a coaching department, or if you want to build a big event, or like this uncertainty comes from being independent. And the whole game of freedom that everybody wants, especially my crew, my entrepreneurs out there, you want freedom. I mean, everybody wants it, but the entrepreneurs are driven by it, right? And the scenario is freedom has nothing to do with you. Like, I was sitting downstairs with a group of women last night, and there was one woman that was like, we're on your team, Shanda. We're here to support you, which has nothing to do with me. And there was somebody else saying, well, I mean, like we're all called to speak on a stage. And that one person was wrestling, and what she was missing was the fact that the bigger I get, the more your stage expands, right? Let me take it in another context. The tables that you sit at with your network, the reason why your network is your net worth is because when people have already got theirs and they know their safety isn't in check anymore, even if they go through hard times. Can you guys share this live real quick? Can you guys just take a moment and share this live real quick, please? When you're around people who are out of survival and they're out of trying to prove something, and they're also not talking about this is my calling. See, this is my call. I have a book called Core Calling. It's all for the person that's still floundering. It's for the person that still thinks it's all about their purpose. See, your purpose is a greater purpose, bigger than yours. And whether you're on the front stage or you're on the back stage or the side stage or the breakout stage or the whatever, you will make the freedom money no matter where you are in the body of Christ, no matter where you are in somebody's company, no matter whether it's your company, somebody else's company. Do you know that if I would have gotten this sooner, I honestly would have went to go work for Tony Robbins? You know why? because I'd be making $1 million a year salary, and I would have been doing that a long time ago, way before I did it in my own company. And I wouldn't have had to deal with half the stuff that I've had to deal with in growing a company. And I would have been much farther ahead. And what I could have done with that $1 million a year salary in multiplying in some of the real estate deals and things that I have seen would have been far greater than what I did here in hardcore business. Now, where I stand in hardcore business now is where I stand in hardcore business now. I got 14 years underneath this company. And now I feel like we're just getting started. Why am I sharing this with you? Because the longer you stay in what's my calling, what's my purpose, what's my thing, what do I want to do? And there's a deception. Like, what is God calling me to do? There's that, which is powerful. But I'm telling you, so often when you have a resistance to grow, right? Like I did an Instagram live this morning, or reel this morning. I said, go look at the house you can't afford. Go drive the car that you don't think you're ready for. Go hire the coach you don't think you're ready for. Go do everything you don't think you're ready for. And in the act of doing that, you create space, because you will fall totally in love with either the people, the property, or prosperity opportunity. The thing that you're not ready for is going to pave a path that you will get the idea that will close that gap. And I will tell you that is 100% from God. And see, whenever we don't have the faith to go after because we're still trying to get ready, let me tell you something. That is resistance. And that 100% is about you. So my client who unhooked from resistance, when she said, how would I build a one-to-many business on 10 hours a week? Here's what I said. You should write this down, because you can reverse engineer this. I said, what income do you want to make and why? And I said, what are the deliverables that you think that you could provide for a group of people? I said, I'm going to call her Stacy. I said, Stacy, I want you to walk around your house today and all week and all month, if that's what it takes. But if the more obsessed you are with literally talking to yourself and God about this every single moment of the day, every time you think about it, put it up on the walls, you ask yourself, what is the gift that I am to people? Like, what do I, and you all should be taking this coaching. What do you provide for people? What value do you provide for people? And in other words, if you think about the people that are closest to you, like, how is their life better because they know you? Like, what do you stand for with people around you? And that's what you want to amplify, because that was your God-given gift. Now you can expand that and get better at it. That's the journey of really being on purpose, but your purpose has nothing to do with you. The thing that was placed in you to make a difference for other people has nothing to do with you. Like, you're already benefiting from that. So it's like, you don't have to look at you anymore. You need to make sure that you know how to make money, because that can close a lot of doors if you don't know how to make money. But your purpose is actually, purpose in definition is connected to other people. So you see how some of the personal development work and some of the spiritual, not religious work has you completely focused on, I healed my ulcer. I manifested this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You created some value somewhere that created a healing. And when you operate in that, you get out of the ego. There's so many people operating in ego, and they're offended and they're resistant, and they're constantly talking about this flow state, which the flow state is something anybody can get into when you are 100% outward focused. See if you can debunk that. You won't be able to figure it out, because the only way for you to go to the level that your purpose is calling you to go to has everything to do with you stop focusing on yourself. So where are you the biggest contribution? And are you willing to speak if you don't want to speak on a stage like me? Are you willing to hire a coach when you don't feel ready? Are you willing to move your ass to another state? Because that's where your mentor is, or that's where, like, Mark Tim moved to Florida to be with Kevin Harrington. And Kevin doesn't even mentor people for a certain amount of money. That's not his model. And he said, I will do everything you tell me to do. And every time you get on your jet to go to a meeting, I will leave my family and I will sit with you and just learn from you. And any piece of advice you mentor into me, I will do. Can I tell you why? And I'm going to tell you honestly why many of my peers do not mentor one-on-one anymore, because people don't listen. And they're just like, I don't want to be the source of all their breakdowns. I don't want to get feedback on what I need to coach them differently or speak to them differently. Like they're not interested. Like, why would I fight with a customer or client to be able to create the results? So then what they do is they create courses, and there'll be a seed or a piece of your success. See, if you want to see great people come out and mentor from behind the computers, you better be the person that takes all the advice and doesn't fight them. And that's where this unhooking comes from, where it's not about you, it's about how can you help, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to help. Her second question is, she said, who's my first hire? And I said, that really is connected with the first question, which is, what type of income do you want to make? And if you want to do 10 hours, like one to many, and you want to only work 10 hours a week, right? Then you need to ask yourself, what are the deliverables? Because if you're going to deliver a certain result to someone, whether it's a network marketing product or a coaching product, or help them buy homes, or help them financially plan, or help them heal from their ulcers, or cure diabetes, or whatever that takes, right? Whatever result you're going to do, what it takes for somebody to have a success with that. Like, even if you're creating this shirt, what it takes for this shirt not to fall apart. And so you have to say, what are the deliverables? And so the first hire comes down to this: write down all the things you do in a day, and then everything you're incompetent at, or just competent, you're good, but you're not great, then that should be pulled off your list of things you do in a day. And there's at least 40. Then that group, pull all those tasks out. And if you have an email list, send an email out to your email list saying, I'm hiring for this virtual assistant role, and here's the tasks that you would be handling. Because the minute you can get that off your day-to-day activity, the better. I have my 1% private clients doing an end-of-day report right now. Literally, I'm not kidding you. It's like, I cleaned the house. Why the frick are you cleaning the house? Why are you cleaning the house? Because they have the money. Why are they cleaning the house? Why are they doing laundry? I understand why they're taking their kids to soccer practice. 100% get that. But why are they doing those things? Because they're addicted to being busy. And I said, I don't want to track what you do in a day. I want to track how much revenue you make in a day. And I shifted it. And they're still got some ego going on. They're still talking about money they didn't actually make. They're talking about the daily income, not new income. Right? And so I'm going to keep going in there and coaching them, because I'm trying to get out this idea of, I'm such a baller. No, you have a lot of space in your day. I have a lot of space in my day to be so much more optimized to speed. And it requires us to get honest. So question number 3, she said, what percentage of staff or employment, what percentage of that should be of my revenue? And I said 45 to 50%. So if you want a company that's going to create freedom for you, 45 to 50% of your revenue should go to employment. Virtual assistants, employees, when you get them, 45 to 50% should go to employment. I know it's hard to grab that, because you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't make enough now. Because you can spend every dollar you have. It doesn't matter if you make millions of dollars. Even in a day, you can spend it. Trust me, you can spend it. There's always something to spend it on. So if you gear towards 45 to 50% in labor, you're going to find that you actually have a team that merits the growth and the scaling of a company. So you should write that down. She said, what percentage of revenue should fall off? Like attrition, go away, you sold it, you got a charge back, whatever. And I said, that's industry standard. So you have to look at your industry. But I said, in the coaching industry, you got about 20 to 25% that falls off. Credit card declines, chargebacks, people not keeping their word, thinking that they're not ready, or thinking that, whatever. It's amazing to me, like, how many people will get mad at me because they signed a contract to work with us. And we're like here, let me tell you something with pausing people's agreements. Don't do it. And here's why. you don't want, if you're a coach or consultant, don't pause people's agreements. I would rather you gift them a month for free if somebody was going through cancer or just something hard. I'd rather you gift them a month for free than pause an agreement, because pausing an agreement has somebody take themselves out of community. For all my coaches and consultants, okay? Anybody, membership sites, anything like that. People have to stop pulling back. They need to stay connected. Connection is currency. And so currency is a vibration of frequency of forward movement. So I know that the temptation is to pull back and hold back when things are tough, but you should do the opposite. You should get more bullish when things are hard, because that's when you're breaking through character and next level. Next level does not happen because you just turned something on and the webinar created sales. You just hired a coach and everything worked. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's actually the friction moment that creates the breakthrough. And that's something that people don't understand. Like, truly, if they really got that, they would never back down or even ask to pause an agreement. But the fact is people will ask that because they're weak in their minds. And for some of you guys, you are the person that will help them break through on that. It's more than pausing the agreement. It's actually getting so good at doing their own life, at leading their own life. And if you've got a customer or client that wants to pause something, I'm going to recommend that you don't let them. And really, it's not about you keeping their money. It's about their life and them leading it well. Last thing is she said, now she's running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, that type of thing. She said, how much percentage of revenue would you spend on ad spend? And I said, a good number to gear towards would be 20, 25%. And out of that 20 or 25%, you want to gear towards getting 5 times. So if you invest, $5,000, you want to get 5 times your cash back is really what you want to focus on. 3 times is great, but 5 times is where you really want to try and focus on getting. So all of that to say, every question that you could possibly have inside your mind is answerable. But you can't get mad at people in your life that are not creating enough structure for you, or not showing up the way you want them to, or maybe not talking to you in the tone that you want. Like, you got to get out of all of this entitlement, because it's all entitlement. And you got to start running your mission in a way where you've got your list of questions you want answered. And whether your coach answers it, your friend answers it, your sister answers it, you need to be obsessed with your list of questions so you can keep driving the ship forward, because nobody else, my friend, is responsible for your success or your failure. All right, y'all. This is Friday, Shanda on Demand. I will see you on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I look forward to tempoing with you each day as we move towards the last 11 weeks to the year. Go make today great. Talk to you soon. Bye.